Hello, everyone. Janet here today with episode 3 of my Ireland scrapbook layouts, and I will do 2 layouts again. Again, I'm trying to probably do mostly 2 for each video, just so there's not a million videos. These are my last 2 Dublin ones, like my Dublin city pictures or whatever. So for this one, I planned on using this scrapbook generation sketch. This was from one of their books that was called Sketch Magic with Simple Stories. So it refers to like simple stories blocks because you know how they have their cut aparts that are certain sizes. I'm not using simple stories stuff for this. I'm just using my own paper, but I'm going to use these measurements just to get me going. So I'm going to put that off to the side where I can see it and that it's not taking up a lot of space. So for this one, I am going to be using 2 base pages that are just plain white because I'm going to be covering these up completely. So in this sketch, I don't think they're using pattern paper here and there, but I am. So if I was going to leave this showing, I would just use a different color cardstock base probably, but I actually want to use my pattern paper and this is a good place to do it. So I determined that this would be about a 3-inch strip and this would be about a 1-inch strip. And that's going to be the Dublin word paper here. The other side of this is journaling cards, which I always have a good intention to use, but I never really do. So I'm going to use this, and I have enough of it because I have 2 sheets. I have enough of it to do all 6 layouts that I have to do. If you've been following, you know I'm making 3 books, and I'm making them simultaneously. Like so, after I film this and do my layout, I will put together the other 2 so that they're done. So I have enough of this for all of them. And then the striped piece is actually going to be this polka dot. I'm going to just incorporate a red dot paper in for that. And that's probably just going to be like a quarter to a half an inch. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go with yet. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get my strips cut down to, I need 2 3 inches for this one. And I, of course, will need more for the other layouts, but I'm not going to cut those down. Yeah, I determined that since these were 4, that's a total of 8 inches. This is definitely only an inch. That's 9. So yeah, I think 3 inches is pretty good. As I'm cutting it, it looks kind of big, but I think it's going to end up being fine. 3 inches, that's for my 2 tops, and then 1 inch for the left side and 1 inch for the right side. And this layout is just going to be um, like city pictures, like pictures of buildings that I took that I thought were cool, or that may have had any relevance. Um, Trying to figure out if I want this to be a 1/4 inch or if I want it to be a half. A quarter is just very small. I think I am going to go with a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do a total of 4 of these. I'm sure in the sketch it's about a quarter. In fact, it says strips are a quarter. Yeah, I'm going to do a half. I think a half is already pretty small. So I don't want to do a quarter. And it's not like I don't have the paper to use. Because again, if you have been following these videos, you know that I don't care about conserving paper in this process because I have so much paper to use that even overusing it and not conserving, I still will have too much paper. All right, and then this simple stories block that they say is 6 by 8. I'm doing that just in a navy blue. So I'm going to cut this at 6 inches because we know that 8.5 by 11. I can get the 8-inch side out of this side here by just cutting off a little bit. So that's going to be that. And then I haven't decided about this here. They've got, you know, a simple story strip that they've kind of put on both a 2 by 12 that they put, you know, 10 inches over here and 2 inches there. I could do my navy cardstock there. And so I'm going to consider that. But for right now, I'm going to leave it blank because the thing is, this 8.5 by 11 sheet of navy is not actually big enough to do that. I would have to get another sheet of navy blue that matches that one, which we'll see if I have. So for now, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to just get the base stuff put down so that we can just see how it all works out. So my two 1-inch strips are going to go at the bottom. I had to get my tape runner going, so I missed that top. There we go. So we're going to put these down here. I am going to wait till I get my photos put down to do these strips because they're probably going to overlap the photo a little bit, and I think they're going to close the seam between this paper and the pictures is what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So I'm not going to put it down just yet. And I have always noticed that with Scrapbook Customs paper, I always have this tiny, tiny, tiny bit of overhang, which is not the tab that is usually making the paper longer. So I'm not sure why, but you can see that yellow. I don't know why. It's always like an eighth of an inch or something, or 16th of an inch of overhang. And I don't know if it has to do with their size versus the size of background I'm using or what, but it's not a big deal. You just turn it over and trim it off. But just a note there. I love Scrapbook Customs paper and I will not stop buying it because of that. So the best travel paper, that and Scrap Your Trip. Like literally you can find whatever you need. There's very few destinations that they probably don't cover on their sites. So we're going to put this down here. I do like to include city pictures, especially when you're going to another country, because those of you who have traveled to another country, you know that usually it's very different than it is in the US. Their buildings, they're different. I mean, they have their modern stuff too, but you'll find like older, better architecture type buildings in Europe a lot of times than you do in the US. It almost makes you wonder how they built stuff like that back in the day, without all the tools that we have nowadays. But I always, if I find the buildings interesting in some way or something, I usually include them in my scrapbook if I have room. I mean, my scrapbooks end up being too many pages as it is, and I am doing better with cutting down, but there's still so many photos I want to take. Like I know I took well over 1,000 um, pictures on this trip, and they're not all gonna end up in this book, obviously. But I have a lot that I really like that I want to end up in this book, but it just depends on how fat the book ends up being because I don't want it to be more than one book, which I have done in the past and I don't like. Those albums take up space over time. So, I still want to do my trips, but I don't want to go overboard with stuff. Okay, so let me put my 6x8 piece down. And I could just leave this white. I mean, once I put the photos there, I mean, it could just be a white space, but I really wanted to incorporate a little bit more color in here. So I was just pulling the colors from the pattern paper itself, which again is how I choose stuff. It's not always to match my pictures, which is what most people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wish I could do that, but there was no way that we were all going to wear the same colors or whatever. So I match my papers, and it is what it is. So this is just a cathedral of some kind that I thought was cool. This was called Dublinia, and I do actually have a sticker for that on the Dublin sticker sheet, I believe. I've got a few things here. Let's pull it out. Dublinia, that was this place. This is actually a Viking museum. I really wanted to go into this and we didn't have time. And then this is a picture at Trinity College. So I'm going to put these stickers like probably right on the pictures. This, I don't remember the story behind it, but it used to be a bank and there's a reason all the windows are stoned up. I don't remember, but I think it used to be a bank and it's something else now. I don't remember what the significance of this building was, but it's something important. But this is the view through the front gate kind of thing. And then this is just like a skyline view, I guess you could call it, from our hotel along the waterfront. So this sketch does call for all horizontal pictures, which I actually, excuse me, had most of. Needed a drink. So it worked out really good. So I'm gonna put, this is my favorite picture, the Viking Museum that I didn't get to go to. I think that's a cool looking building, so I'm gonna put that over there. And what's gonna determine what goes over here is this. This is a die cut from one of the scrapbook custom packs. And my plan is, when I have all the pictures like this, is to kind of put it here in the middle. So it has to go where it's not covering up anything. So for that to happen, like this picture has a lot of sky and this picture has a lot of sky. This picture has just road, and then the only wild card here is Trinity College. It has like that sculpture or whatever, but I feel like it's not covering up a lot of important things. That was my plan. However, if I decided to go with the navy blue up here, I could probably put it at the top in that space and have the blue back it, and I don't even have to do like the size of blue that they're talking about. Like it doesn't even have to be as long, like the 12 inches. I could actually use a scrap of this and just line it up with the edge and then just kind of put it here. So I may actually end up doing that. In fact, this is just a scrap. So I don't have plans for this. I'm going to cut it down to the 2 inches that's recommended. Even though that die cut is bigger than 2 inches, I don't want it to take up the whole thing. So if it sticks off of that a little bit, I don't care. So I would maybe just do that where this backs most of it. I still think that's a lot on that. So I don't know. I kind of planned on it being here and maybe popped up with some thin pop dots. But again, I do think it is kind of big for that space. So I'm not 100% certain. Um, yeah, I don't know. For right now, I'm going to put these two down here. And then I have this die cut that I thought would go great in this space. Because as I mentioned in previous videos, when you have these really big die cuts, you literally have to plan them in to the layout. If you don't, you may find that you don't have room for them. I've done that a lot of times. So I'm going to take this off for right now. Because this one and the next layout you're going to see are my last two Dublin layouts, I need to squeeze that die cut in somewhere, and I don't believe I have room for it on the next layout. So for right now, I'm going to put my photos down because I want to get those dot strips down in the event that I decide to use that blue piece there. So we're going to go ahead and put these pictures down. And Trinity College does have that Book of Kells experience. I don't remember the relevance of the Book of Kells. I don't always remember all of that stuff that I've researched right here on my tours or whatever, but there's some relevance. It's one of like the oldest books or something, and you have to book the experience in advance. You can't just go. And we were at Trinity College this day, just during our tour. We just kind of, after the tour's over, they dropped us off in town, and we just kind of went here because it's kind of a major thing in Dublin. But when we went over the Book of Kells experience, they did say you had to have advanced reservations. So our plan was, when we got back to Dublin on the last day of the tour, we were going to have some free time in the afternoon. We were going to possibly book, um, gotta peel this back up. We were going to possibly book it, but it turns out that it books up really fast. And by the time slot that would have been available for us to do was late in the day, and it would have probably affected our farewell dinner that we needed to be at, as far as just getting back to the hotel and all of that. So we ended up not doing the Book to Kells experience. And they did say on the website that the library itself was undergoing some renovations or whatever, and it this picture is still crooked, and it had half of the books removed. So I feel like it would have been not a completely wasted experience, but it wouldn't have been the full experience, because it would have been cool to see the library. Their library, I think, has like books to the ceiling, or it looked like it almost in the pictures. So there is a little bit of a gap at the bottom here. You can't see it too much because it's white cardstock, but that's what I thought I might have. So that's why I want to get the strips down so that I can not look at that gap anymore. So the strips are going to cover part of the pattern paper and part of the pictures. For some reason, these strips seem longer too. Maybe this cardstock is just not quite 12 inches, because It is kind of strange to me how everything seems to hang off the side of it. And that dot paper is just some other paper. It's not even Scrapbook Customs. So I don't know. Not all paper is 12 by 12, even when it's advertised as 12 by 12. Sometimes it is actually a little bit shorter, I've found. So we're going to just put these down, cut off that, and hope that I put those pictures in the order I planned on. Yeah, I did. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and put these pictures down over here so that I can get the dotted strips over here to make sure they line up. This page or this layout is probably going to be harder to embellish because it's already so busy. I don't think I'll be adding a lot of embellishments to this one because of all the words on it. And I do think that that Dublin die cut in the middle, because it's already oversized for that space, and I know it's not ideal for that space. I don't feel like I would crowd any more embellishments in there. All right, so now we have to make sure that these two are perfectly lined up. So let's make sure our pages are lined up together. Keep that across there. But yeah, I always see all these layout videos that people do, and their layouts always come out amazing, and they've done all this cool stuff to them that I always think I'm going to do to mine. But it just turns out I have too many pictures. Some of the people I watch, they're good at limiting the pictures on their layout to like 4 or 5, sometimes 6. I'm always trying to get as many pictures in a layout as I can. And they also print theirs in a lot of different sizes, which I actually really enjoy. I love printing my pictures in different sizes. I feel like that helps your eye move around the page when you've got some different sizes. But I think I mentioned in a previous video that Walgreens does not print like 3x4s, for example, and that's a good size to use. So because they don't print it, um, I have to go with 4x6. They will do 4x4s, so I have to print my own. And to print all these pictures in smaller sizes, it's going to take so much planning and so much printing on my own that I don't know if it's worth it at that point. What I'm actually considering doing is I'm considering actually layering this on the navy blue and cutting around it so that it has a navy blue border, and then putting that there. So I'm actually going to try that. And I'm going to try to hold it in place. I don't want to actually glue it down yet because I don't know if I'm actually going to do this, but um, it's not like I probably couldn't peel it back up if I had to, I guess. But I want to just see. Of course, this is more work for me, but I am trying to make it not so crowded in there. Get some of this away. I mean, it would be easier to cut around it for sure if I actually glue it down, but not going to be perfect anyway because I'm not perfect. I'm trying to make the, and if I do like this and I decide to glue it down, I can probably like fine touch trim any areas that I feel need it. Trying to get into these little crevices here. I try to trim off chunks of paper like that whenever I can when I'm doing this, just to get chunks of paper out of the way. In a perfect world, this would be a nice even border all the way around this thing, but it's not going to be. I just feel like it might look nice with the navy border around it. One, to kind of help it stand out a little bit among the pictures and stuff, but also it will tie that navy paper into the first page so that you know you have it on both pages. because I do think it would be nice to have the navy somewhere on this layout. And since I'm not matting photos, which is where I would normally take that opportunity, um, yeah, some places it's really thin and some places it's not. But honestly, just giving it enough of that shadow does tie in pretty good, in my opinion. So I think I like it better than just this. I think it gets lost. So I am going to go ahead and put that on there. See, if I would have put it on there initially and cut better around it, then I would have decided against it and had to try to peel it off, and then it would have got all wrinkled, and it just never would have worked out for me. But this is where I'm going to fine tune it because it's thinner over here. I'm going to just thin out the this side here that it has a little bit of a thicker border. I'm just going to thin it out a smidge to make it look a little bit more even though it's not going to be perfect. It'll at least blend in a little bit better this way. I guess worst case scenario, if I really mess it up, I have plenty of navy cardstock that I could just try again, but it's not my goal. Okay. So I think that, I mean, it's good enough. And actually I might bring it down just a little bit since I have all this extra sky space. Um yeah, and again, I know you guys don't even have to comment below. I already know that it's too big for this space. But I'm going to use a very very thin foam strip. It's a very thin one so that it's popped up a little bit, but it's not adding too much dimension to the pages because I am trying to keep my pages a little flatter so that my book isn't too fat. Um, Also, when you have really thick embellishments on your pages, the page that sits on top of it, I feel like gets a little bit warped and disfigured. I'm gonna just make sure all the parts have level. One thing I like about these rolls of foam tape is you can just cut whatever sizes you need. You're not locked into a specific like shape or size or whatever. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put this abnormally large die cut in the space that it really doesn't fit in, but I don't think I have room for it on the next layout. I'm pretty sure I don't because when I planned them out, I think the reason I put these two die cuts here was because I had room. I mean, I guess I could have tried to put it over here, but this just really fit in there really nicely. But I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so that it's more in the sky of these two pictures. And then I do want to take these word stickers. And again, when I'm done my book, I will go back through with any leftover embellishments that I have for Ireland, and I will see if I can squeeze them in these pages because they won't be useful to me in any other album. So we're going to put Dublinia there. We're going to put Trinity College over here. And probably just put it down here in the grass. And since I don't know what these buildings are, what I could always do is I could Google some of these that I'm not sure about and see if they match the pictures that I have and maybe go back and add them. I do realize this says Dublin double decker, and I should have used that on last episode's pages where we were on the double decker bus. So I may go back and add that. So this one, I am going to add that thin foam tape as well, just because I did it on the other side. Um, this is, I think this is like a 1 millimeter foam tape. I think the width that I usually like is a 2 millimeter, but I also have a 3, which is also kind of thick. So I think this is my 1 because it's really thin. So we're gonna pop that on there. And I think I'm gonna just center it because I don't know. I might add like a few things here, but for right now, I don't know what that would be. So, I mean, I can take a look real quick at these. embellishment packs that I do have and just see if anything jumps out at me. There's nothing coming to mind immediately. Like some of these are just too big. I don't see anything on that that I would use. And I need to figure out what these buildings are. I know this is Blarney Castle, but I don't know which one this is. And this is Blarney Castle again. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything right off the bat. I need to use these little coin stickers. I have more word stickers. These are mostly for very specific places. Here's another Trinity College. It would be dumb to put it on there again. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me to go in those little spaces. And I do have like just a lot of shamrocks and stuff, clovers, such, that kind of stuff that I might end up putting in that space. But I think for now I'm going to leave it alone because I'm not 100% sure and I don't want the video to be forever long with me sitting here trying to decide that. So for right now, I'm going to leave this layout be. There is a very high likelihood that I'm going to add some more embellishments, maybe something here, maybe even, again, just some clovers or something. But for now, I think I'm going to let these be and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, for this next one, I need to trim off these zip strips real quick. So this layout is going to be one half of it will be Temple Bar, which we actually didn't go into, but that is a major icon of Dublin. So we at least went to it to take pictures outside. And then something else that was kind of really cool there were the doors of Dublin. Apparently, that's a thing. I have a postcard that even says Doors of Dublin. So, because on our tour, if you did see the video for the actual trip, on the tour, we did stop at, oh, I think it was called St. George's Square or something, and took our picture, outside with the doors. I've already picked out white matting for these photos just to tie into some of the white over here with a red polka dotted background. So this is kind of what I was thinking for here. And then I have this Dublin die cut. I guess that other one would have maybe fit on this page, but I also had this one. Maybe this one would have been better on the other one. I don't know, but it's too late now. So this is kind of what I was thinking for this layout with something maybe there. But yeah, here's the doors of Dublin. Um, they have a lot of colorful doors, a lot of styles. Um, so I have this door paper. This came in an Ireland paper collection kit with from I think it was Reminisce. I think it was Reminisce. I cut off the zip strip, so um, let's see. Yeah, it was in the Ireland one. So this one, unfortunately, I'm probably going to cover up a lot of these doors. I am going to cut these photo mats down, but this is kind of what I was thinking because that's the only way that they would all fit on that one side, really. So maybe something here in the middle. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but this is kind of what I was thinking. So this one again is very simple because I'm working with this kind of paper. I could have probably cut the strips of doors, but having four pictures and or three pictures and a postcard, there's not too many ways you can arrange that. So I'm thinking of actually cutting these pictures down even just a little bit, just to make them a little smaller so that I can see a little bit more of that paper. But let me see how big the postcard is. European postcards are not the same size as ours. It's a weird size. It's like 5 13/16 by 4 3/16. So it's a weird size. But that really can't be cut down anymore. I feel like these could be because it's not going to affect anything if I take a smidge off the top and the sides. Um, it's not going to be too bad. So I think I'm going to trim them down just a little bit. because this is just some road. I can easily, maybe we take a 1/4 inch off both sides, and that will be it. And again, it's not really disturbing much about the picture because it still has all the same stuff that I'm cutting off. Which side do I want to cut off on this one? Probably this one. Now, if the pictures couldn't be trimmed down, I would just leave them be and not worry about it. But this one, though, it would cut off a little bit of the door. I could cut off a little bit more of our legs because um, they're already cut off anyway. So the point was just to get our picture in front of one of the doors. Actually, we wanted our picture in front of the this one here is the Peru, the embassy of Peru or something like that. It was the fanciest door of all of them. So that one, we wanted our picture in front of that one, but everybody else was doing that, and we were only at this stop for like 15 minutes. So it was like do or die, get your picture taken or don't. So I'm gonna trim these down to accommodate my new photo size. So now that I've made them, so this would still be a 4. I think this would actually be a 4x6 mat since the pictures are now not 4x6. And they should fit. Let's just double check before we do it to all of them. Yep. We'll cut that down to a 4x6. And the postcard's already got like its own white mat around it, so I'm not going to worry with that one. Okay, so that's that side. Let's arrange it and see how it looks. This is a very simple design that I've used a million times, and I actually am trying to branch out and do different designs from what I normally would do, but these pictures just fit well like this. And I do think cutting them down really helps because I feel like you can really see that door paper now, especially if I go ahead and corner these up to a point where they're kind of in the corners and you see more of the center, and I could put something in the center. I'm not sure what yet, but um or I could just bring them in and have a tighter center like that. And I still think you see a lot of the door paper. So I don't know. And it would just be something in the center. I probably would not embellish this a ton either, again, because it's a busy paper. This side, however, has lots of room for embellishment because it's a very boring paper. So once again, these photos are not the same size as the postcards. So I think I'm actually going to make them all about the same size. It looks like the postcard is about a 4. Yeah, it's just only a smidge, barely. It's not even a 16th inch. So I'm gonna leave the width at 4, and then it's 5 3/4. So all I'm gonna do is take off a 1/4 inch, which in this case won't be anything important. It'll just be some random people because you just can't get a picture of this place without people everywhere. But this one I can just take off some of the brick road. So all right, so these are going to need to be 4 1/4 by 6, if my math serves me correctly. And luckily, if I mess that up, it's just white cardstock and I have a lot of it. So, yep, that's good. What's really going to be hard is when I get to the castle layouts, because I have pictures of the outsides, I have a good bit of pictures on the insides, and trying to not make those layouts like a million layouts is going to be hard for me because the castles were one of the coolest things. Like the castles were one of the things I was excited about, going to Ireland to see some castles and stuff. So that will be hard to narrow down pictures, but I'll figure out how to do it. Now, essentially, if I had another big something that I wanted to put up there, I could move this up or down to make room for that. But I've got this Ireland I could put up there, so I could do like that with the Ireland and then something down here, like maybe the flag or something. I have the little map of Ireland, another little flag. Actually, that would fit nicely in that spot. It's rectangular. Irish vacation, that would fit there nicely. Adventure in Ireland. I mean, a lot of these could work for this. So, um, I don't know what we're gonna pick. Do we have anything in here? Some of these things are already going to be used on other layouts. So, um, and we already used this Welcome to Ireland on the other layout. Do I still have the flag in here, or did I put it somewhere else? I might have just dumped it in my bag of. Nope, there it is. That would fit that space nicely. I think I'm going to put that there because it's a little bigger than the other one. I think I'm going to do that, and maybe that. Maybe that. Yeah, I think the embellishing takes the longest for me. See, this Dublin would fit there if I didn't already have one. And for these die cuts, I don't have enough for the third book for this Dublin, so I could put this on that third layout. But I'm gonna have one of these for all three books, so there's still gonna be extras of that. So I mean, maybe I should, instead of putting Ireland, maybe I should do Adventure in Ireland. It's green and it matches. So we're gonna think about that for a second. See, I could spend forever just figuring out embellishments, especially when I have options. I'm more dangerous when I have options. So let's start with this side. Let's just start getting our photos matted. Ran out of adhesive on that one. I feel like some of these adhesives just keep messing up. I mean, these are the ones from Hobby Lobby, and they're actually usually very good. They used to be a bad adhesive and not be very sticky, but now they changed them somehow. They're pretty sticky now, so I think they're a good adhesive and for the price. But every now and then you get one that wants to like roll up on itself. I think it gets stuck. So let me just fix that, and I will be back. Okay, so I switched up my adhesive. It's kind of like that big pink gun that I also have. Every now and then you get a roll that's kind of wound backwards and you have to kind of like work with it to fix it. I feel like these have that issue sometimes where they're not necessarily backwards, but for some reason they just kind of, I don't know, they double up or something. But overall, pretty good adhesive. Okay. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and mat all the photos on both pages before I stick anything down. I want to decide what's going to be in the center of this page before I decide if these are going to be further out or more in, because that will make that decision for me. And this is a postcard, so it's a little bit of a heavier weight. So I've got some score tape. I do like to put a piece of score tape. I don't know if I did it on any of the other postcards. I don't remember if I scrapped any postcards yet. Kind of all runs together, but sometimes because the postcards are such heavy weight, I do like to put just a piece of score tape in the middle of it to make sure that it's going to hold the weight. Center it. A little further on one side than another, but I'm not going to worry about peeling it up. So if you're OCD and have an OCD eye and you can tell that that's not completely centered, you are correct, but I'm not going to change it right now because I think I'll probably destroy the paper trying to get it up, or the picture, not necessarily the paper, the picture. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking about there. I guess I could actually go ahead and stick this side down because I do know already that this side is going to be the way that it is. I just got to figure out which embellishment I want at the top. I'm gonna put one more piece of score tape on the center of this heavier piece. I'll just put that in the middle. Do the temple bar. I'll bring that there. And I know that I've got a sticker or two that says temple bar. So um again, I don't want to be too redundant, but at the same time, I want to use what I have. This we're going to put liquid glue on. Right. And then I'm going to put this one down. Oops. Totally destroying what I have going on here. Okay. Let's just take a look. Let me look at these bigger sticker sheets. Because I know that there's a circular, yeah, there's a few circular things. And this actually says Dublin. So I actually think I might use that one in the center. It's even got the white around it, which goes with my mats quite nicely. So based on the size of that, I'm probably going to drag these all the way out so that that has room to not be crowded. So that's what we're going to do there. And since this one's a postcard, I'm also going to go ahead and put some score tape in the center. These are some pretty heavyweight postcards. So yeah, we're just going to kind of even that up. Pop that one into the corner there. I know it's not a good idea to actually be doing adhesive on top of your pages or your pictures. And I know that to be true because I've made mistakes and messes that way. And has that stopped me from doing it? No. Here I am, still doing it. Okay. So the only thing I would possibly add to this page would be something like a few shamrocks or something small here and there. Um, this page, I'm going to put the flag down because I know that I want to use that. But I also want to just look at the words because I have Temple Bar. I know I have Temple Bar. It's not on that one. I'm sure it's probably here. Is it really not? That's crazy. The pub, I mean, that would maybe work, but yeah, that's not there. Um, I mean, Irish pub could go on here, but we also have pictures. I think two other layouts I have will have a pub. So Trinity College and Book of Kells, which I'm not going to be able to use. Here it is, Temple Bar. There's just this little thing, and I'm gonna just pop this maybe at the bottom of this photo. I was gonna do up here, but there's already more going on. I'm just gonna pop that on there because I mean, what else am I gonna do with it, you know? Let's make sure there's not a die cut or anything that shows the temple bar. Because my goal is to empty all of these sheets of adhesive or of embellishments out by the time these books are done, with the exception of some of these words that just don't apply to where we were at. Like aside from that, um, I plan on just really wiping this stuff out. I'm not seeing anything else specifically. I do see a few things that say Irish pub though. Um, I mean, there's several things that could maybe like trip of a lifetime, beautiful Ireland. Actually, beautiful Ireland would be better probably with something else. I don't see anything Temple Bar related. So I'm still leaning towards I'm leaning towards this adventure in Ireland. I mean, this would look nice up here too. But these two being a little bit bigger, and once again, I already know I have the space for it. I don't know what my future layouts are going to hold and whether there will be space for those things at some point later. So, I don't know. I kind of like the shape of this one because of the shape of the flag. I mean, it's a little longer, but it also, I don't know, it's got a castle in the background. It might actually, I don't know, let me put that back down. It's got a castle in the background, so it almost might look good on a castle page. So, let's just go with Adventure in Ireland. Okay. Um, just taking a look here. And again, some of these little things might be cute as embellishments, but at the same time, I'm not that far into the book and I've already used quite a bit of embellishment. So I want to kind of make sure I've got enough throughout the book. So I don't want to go crazy at the beginning. So if I don't see something that immediately speaks to me for a specific layout, I'm going to leave it alone for right now because, again, at the very end, the last episode of this series, I will be going back through the pages and adding in anything that I have extra. So for now, I think I'm going to leave these be. I still think they're kind of busy enough as it is. I do feel like they would benefit from some things like I have these shamrock gems. Of course, they're a little bit more 3D. So I also have all of these from my St. Patrick's stash. So, I mean, I'm feeling like it's possible to use some of these. So, I don't know. Do I want to go ahead and just put a couple down? I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot. I definitely won't be running out of these, and I have enough for all the books. So let's just see. I want the layouts to have a nice mix of like words and other things. So I'm gonna use these darker ones because they match that better. And I always back these kinds of stickers with more adhesive because I don't feel like the quality of stickers nowadays is that amazing. So for these, I think I'll put one there. Maybe I'll put one up here. And then maybe I will go ahead and put one down here. They always say you should do things in odd numbers. So we're going to do three. And then on this side, I could actually just put one on each side of the flag just to have them over here as well so that it's not totally random. How about we do that? Maybe something like that. And maybe I could just, I didn't say I'll pop one up here, but there's already one right there. So I think, I don't know, I'm just going to leave that alone for now. Again, I can always go back and add stuff later. I don't have to overkill it right now, but I will overkill them later just to use stuff up if I have to. Nobody's really going to see this book except for me and my husband, probably. Maybe one or two of my friends. So I mean, I don't care. So I think we're going to leave it at that. So these two layouts for now are complete. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if there's something you think I should add to them, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a great day. Bye.